Hey, welcome, guys. Welcome Sunday morning. Your fielder's choice. Now is today Mlb and WNBA DFS pre-archive. Pete Cole here. Walt Waddell is also with me. He's actually going to come on after me. We're going to do MLB first, but we got two nice sports sites today. So we got MLB lock at 1 p.m. It is now 9-game slate, which we'll get in a second with the weather. Then we have Walt's WNBA slate. So what else we got going on today? First, your fielder's choice. We have a special going on for college football. $50 for your first 2 months, or $25 a month for the first 2 months. That's a college football special. College is starting. Actually, we're starting this Saturday, which we consider week 0, a 3-game slate. A lot going on there. Small sports, niche sports are our specialty here. All sports are included in that package, and you actually get it all. Tomorrow night, me and Walter will be having a college football Pac-12 season preview. We did SEC last week, ACC the week before that, to get you guys set up for the first week of college football season. We have a CFL show every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. That's for Canadian football. That starts on Thursday nights. So that'll be week 4 coming up. What else we got going? NFL preseason. NFL, we actually have a 2-gamer at 1 p.m. today. NASCAR at 3:15 p.m. Eric, our NASCAR guy, has his content is live on that. Check out our Discord. We have some general and premium material there. He also does our esports, our CSGO, and all that. He does a great job on that. Good spreadsheets. He has an article daily on whatever's going on in the esports world. Soccer, EPL is back up. UCL is back going on. So we have articles on that daily. So actually, this is a lot going on now, finally in August, where July was pretty much straight up MLB, seemed like every day. So we're still rocking MLB. We're still grinding it every day, just like today. But other sports to play also. So some cool stuff going on. So let's get right into MLB. Then we'll switch over to WNBA when I'm done here. Today, starting out with weather. It's a crazy day with that hurricane going on up north. So Yankees are canceled. The Texas and Boston game got canceled. The only other, so those two are out. Then we do have a weather issue in Baltimore, the other East Coast game. That's not a dome. So what I'm reading here, it looks like the game is gonna, I guess, like it's late rain there. So everything I'm seeing, nobody seems to know. Everybody is saying is check before, see if the tarp's on, check before a lock. Kevin Roth saying he thinks the light rain starts before the game, which may make them hesitant to play at all. So stay on our Discord. It's only 11. We still have 2 hours. So if you check on our Discord in our premium room before lock to see what's up there. But I would probably definitely stay away from pitching. And in cash games, I'm probably going to be feeding Braves and Orioles unless I get better news on that. So once again, Texas-Boston game out. Yankees-Twins are out, which turns this into like an 8-9 game slate, which actually I'd like much better for me personally on a Sunday. Vegas, right now, of course, Toronto at home is the highest implied. They're actually 1.2 runs higher than any other team today. They have 6.2 implied total against Detroit. After that, you have Atlanta, where that game is suspect. But then we got Milwaukee going up against Washington, 5.4 implied. I like that. And then the only other team above 5 runs is Houston at 5 against Seattle at home. On the money line, the biggest favorite right now is Toronto. That's Steven Matz pitching, minus 236. They've actually went up from an opening line of 208. Beside that, Milwaukee, minus 213. Cardinals with Adam Wainwright, minus 212. That's only 3 teams that are in the 200 range on your money line. So the Cardinals, Brewers, and Blue Jays. That's Vegas. And you guys that are watching, you can throw any questions in the chat for me or Walter. They'll get them answered. Either admin will answer them, or if I see it, I'll try to answer them. But we'll start. We're going to go through pitching and then around the bases with our cheat sheet. Our Your Fielder's Choice cheat sheet has been updated about 10 minutes ago, so that's live. You premium watching that, I'm going to pretty much refer to that as we're talking position. And let's get right into pitching right now then. And looking at our cheat sheet. So right now we're looking at like 3 pitchers that are looking to be around 30% or above owned. Steven Matz, Adam Wainwright, and Carlos Hernandez. They're your 3 higher owned on DK, and then Framber Valdez comes in about 25%, and anybody else is under 20, like under 15%. FanDuel is pretty much between Matz and Wainwright. Right now we're looking at both of them have about the same amount of ownership, so which we'll get into who we thinks is a better pitcher here in a second. So that's ownership. SP1 on DK, I'm probably just going to roll right with Adam Wainwright. Our ownership is showing Matt's like 5%, a little bit higher. I just struggle a little bit with Matt's being a chalk pitcher. I think there's some good leverage there. I'm not saying I'm not going to go with him because he is seeing ownership, but there is a nice leverage play there with Matt's. But first, Wainwright. It's pretty weird that we're calling Adam Wainwright the best pitcher on the slate, but that's how MLB is. That's how it is today. And it kind of shows how weak the position is today. But he's actually had a good season. He's almost 40 years old. He's got 3.26 ERA, 1.09 WHIP. He's allowed 4 runs or fewer in 23 straight starts. That's pretty goddamn consistent. So, and you got to think it's going to continue in this matchup against Pittsburgh. They're 29th in both xWOBA and OPS. And actually, Wainwright threw a two-hitter shutout against them last week. So you probably expect the same things from Wainwright today. But let me see. He's pitched 15 innings against Pittsburgh this season, 0.60 ERA, 0.60 WHIP, 15-1 K to walk rate. So it's a small sample, but if it's predictive, we're saying Wainwright's your number 1. That's where I'm going to go on DK. Probably I would consider that on FanDuel also. The price-wise, I mean, there's a $1,600 price difference on FanDuel. That's why I'm obviously seeing Matt's pretty much in the same ownership. But if you have the money, you probably want to lean Wainwright. So getting into Matt's, is he an SB2? I've been going back and forth on this all morning. His going up against Detroit. So right away, you got to consider that. You got to put that in consideration against Detroit. One of the 5 worst teams in Major League Baseball in K rate, 26.1% K rate, 155 ISO. But Matz he's been solid, but he hasn't been, elite this year. Decent walk rate though, 6.9%. I don't like the K rate; it's only 23%. So that's what kind of takes me off Matz a little bit. But you want to use lefty pitchers against Detroit. Framber Valdez. I got some interest in Valdez. We're seeing him at 25% on our cheat sheet. Matt's got the better matchup, but Mariners are not hitting right now. They've only managed three runs and 1 run over the last 2 days over McCullers and Odorizzi. Against lefties, they got a 165 ISO, 17th, but 26% K rate, fifth worst in MLB. At the end of the day, I probably like Valdez better. You may see his ownership pop up a little bit, and Matz is down. So at DK, Matz is 8.2, and Valdez is 9.8. So once again, it's a $1,600 difference. So I guess a lot of it depends on how your lineup's going, how your offense. but I would probably rank them Wayno, and then Valdez, and then Matz. I mean, it's not that big of a difference between Matz, though. He does have the easier matchup. Does have some strikeout upside because now in the last 2 weeks, Detroit's got a 28% K rate, 154 ISO. And Seattle only has a 23% K rate. So I guess that salary difference probably does make Matz worth it as your SP2 at $1,500, $1,600. So I guess it all depends on how your bats come. If you make an offense and you have a lot of money left over, then you can switch over to Valdez. Carlos. Now the other pitcher here, Carlos Hernandez, in the 20% range. He's looking at 28% right now on our ownership. I think it's a decent GPP play. I'm not in love with it. He could, Hernandez could definitely go either way today. To me, I can't. In cash, I just can't take a chance on Carlos Hernandez today. But I do like. I don't mind playing more for GPs. I like Vlad Gutierrez for Cincinnati. He's been real consistent. He's actually had between 18 and 24 DK points in all of his last 5 starts. $8,000 though, not a bad price. The main problem with Gutierrez is he's at Great America Ballpark or Great America Small Park. We all know how hitter friendly that is. So that would probably push Gutierrez out of cash games and more to GPP games. Anybody else in play? Sandy Alcantara, he's always a decent, solid pitcher. Great for GPPs. Tuki Toussaint, you're in that weather game in Baltimore, so I'd probably stay away from there. Here's a kind of a dark horse. Is Chris Archer? He's back today. I've seen a lot of quotes, a lot of comments from Kevin Cash today. He's loving Chris Archer, saying he's saying he's pitching like Archer of the old. If you do remember, though, before Archer got hurt, he actually had a couple decent games. So, but we know how camp is, how they don't stretch their pitchers out. First game back, they're independent race. They're going to be careful with them because they probably do need Archer. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to maybe throw 60 pitches and he's out of there. But just kind of something to keep in the back of your mind for GBPs, multi-entering. So that's pretty much it for pitching. Right now, I guess I'm going to lean probably Wainwright, then Matz. But if I don't run Matz, I may run Valdez if I have the extra money over. I guess that's it for pitching. Bad day for pitching today. All right, let's go around the bases. Looking at our cheat sheet, starting out at catching. So one thing, Salvi is playing today. I thought since Salvi got scratched yesterday, I would just kind of acting as if Salvi wasn't playing today at catcher. But I do see he's in the lineup. And anytime Salvi is in the lineup, he's one of your top pay-ups. He is he's in Wrigley. It's more of a pitcher's park today. But still, it's Salvi. I love him. He can hit anywhere. So I wouldn't get too worried about it. We got wind coming in at 11 miles an hour. So that's probably another reason it's making Carlos Hernandez popular is that wind coming in Chicago lineup. But it seems like every time they pitch against Chicago, when they're expected to do nothing, they hit. So that is one of the reasons Carlos Hernandez always popping on the cheat sheets ownership is that wind blowing in. But Salvi is batting third. And it's a righty-on-righty matchup. He still has a 204 ISO against righties, so Salvi can't anybody. He's your top play at catcher. If you have the money. William Contreras for Atlanta is popping, but remember that's a rain game. Is Toronto's lineup out? It is. I know it's out. So Alejandro Kirk is playing. So I do like Kirk today at 3-7 against Hutchinson. Wish he was a little bit cheaper. We know Kirk's got pop. Does get you a piece at high implied total. So I don't mind Kirk. One player actually I do like also, and Milwaukee's lineup probably isn't out yet, is it? Is Manny? If Manny Pena starts today, I like Manny Pena against lefty Sean Nolan. Pena's not going to come cheap, but here's a guy with an ISO of 240 against lefties, and we do know Pena's got pop. So you can run Pena, and then the last is Tyler Stevenson, who's actually batting second today. Hitter's Park. I don't like the batting against Alcantara. I'm an Alcantara fan. I think he's a solid pitcher. But Stevenson, and he is against a righty, but Stevenson's going to play at 4-4, batting second, in a definite hitter's park in Great America Ballpark. So right now, and I did mention the kid from the Braves, William Contreras, at 3.4 though. I don't like that price against Means. But right now, I would probably rank him Salvi. If not, I'm probably going to run Alejandro Kirk. Unless somebody really pops up that's a really cheap value. I mean, even Dustin Garneau for Detroit's 2.8 and against Matt. So I don't like that play. And nothing's out really yet besides Sandy Leon, maybe. He's 2.4. Here we go. Maybe Sandy Leon, 2.4 against Gutierrez. Leon's a switch hitter in Hitter's Park. So that might be your punt right there. Zach Collins against Archer. We know Archer's only going to go like probably 4. And Francisco Mejia, but he's already 3.5. So our punt's probably going to be, which I really don't mind now that I see it, is Sandy Leon for Miami. All right, so catch is pretty much a free-for-all today. Nobody's popping up there. You have the money, you play Salvi. First base, Vlad on DK we're looking at about 20% on our cheat sheet. Running away with on FanDuel at 35%. So he's only 44. I guess $4,400 is expensive on FanDuel, but if you're playing FanDuel, it's all Vlad. DK, he is still the top play, but a couple other guys come in underneath him. If you have the money, you play him. He's crushed righties all year. A lot of people see, since Vlad's a righty hitter, they see he's playing against a righty, but he actually hits righties better than lefties. 324 ISO, 442 Wnba, 324 batting average. And the kid that he's hitting against, he's allowed 6 runs in only 1 inning pitch this year. Just Drew Hutchison. Top play. I like mid-range, usually Gurriel for Houston. He should be batting 5th. He's raking left-handers this year. 261 ISO, 401 Wnba, and a 313 batting average. And Tyler Anderson for Seattle is allowing a 207 ISO to right-handed hitters. I love Gurriel today at 5.3 though. I wish he was in a 4s like he's been all season. That's where if you're going to go 5.3 to Yuli, maybe you go up another. What's Vlad today? Vlad is 6.2 though. Yeah, another $1,000. So, and my sneaky play, like always, anytime he's going up against a righty, is Colin Moran for Pittsburgh. I think Moran's in a great spot today. He should be hitting cleanup. If you're not playing Wainwright, so this is more of a GPP play, but Moran's hit 304 against righties. We know he's got the power. I only play Moran against righties, and he's 9 for 23 lifetime against Wainwright. So I love Wainwright in his value spots. I mean, Moran in his value spots. If you're not pitching Wainwright, so this is more of a GPP play. Any other plays? You got Joey Votto, but he's up to 5.5 against Alcantara. So I don't like to pick on Alcantara much, but we all know how hot Votto is. Jonathan Scope, if you're not going to play Matt, Scope is raked lefties all year. 239 ISO, 422 Wnba, 351 batting average. So Scope's always in play at 4.7. Oh, and then there's one more. It's Choi for Tampa. I'm glad I just saw that. Choi from Tampa. He gets a righty. Ronaldo Lopez. He's 4.1. So this actually, with Yuli being 5.3, for some reason I thought Yuli was in the 4s. So Choi for Tampa is probably your top play if you're not going to play it wait for Vlad or Gurriel. Bet cleanup today against Lopez. Yeah, I probably would say Choi's probably one of our favorites. 221 ISO, 385 Wnba against righties. Hit 360 over the last week, 240 over the last month. So yeah, I like Choi. Choi's going to be my top play if I'm not going to go up to Vlad. All right, so moving on to second base. Taking a peek at our cheat sheet. Marcus Semien is running away with it ownership-wise, both FanDuel and DK. He's at 28% on both sites. Nobody comes even close to him. Remember, he's also shortstop eligible on DK. If you don't use him at second. So I may even lean playing him at short, but I like Jose Altuve today. Looks like Altuve's out of his slump. 4 hits yesterday. He's had 2 doubles, run scored. He's not hit 330 over his last week. I think Altuve is in a smash spot against Tyler Anderson. Should be leading off. So I also like you got like Brandon Lau anytime he's up against a righty, and Lau is a righty smasher. Lau is 5.5. Hit 299, 7 home runs over the last 20 games. So this is where I don't think you need to go up to Semien at second base because there's so many other good plays. Altuve, Lau, Witt, I mean, Witt's always in play. I mean, obviously, is in a good spot again today. He can snatch a base from you. He's leading off against Alec Mills at 4-4. And then your punt play, your value play is going to be Tommy Edman for St. Louis. If Edman, as long as he's batting first, which he's been, he's actually got a 250 ISO against lefties this year. Always a threat to steal. Plus, he's 5 for 12 against Brawl, 417 BVP. So, if you need value and you end up going like a Valdez, Wainwright pitching, you can maybe use a guy like Tommy Edman as your second baseman. That could be one of your value spots. And then pop up somewhere else. But Semien right now is looking like the chalk play. But you see in a high ownership because he's also eligible at shortstop. FanDuel, honestly, I don't know if is he eligible at shortstop for FanDuel. I'm not sure. But that's why he's also probably projected with a high projected ownership because he can play two positions. Albies, great play, but I'm going to stay away from it because of the weather. So right now, I get Jazz Chisholm, I guess also. Right now, I really like Tommy Edman as my value. If not, I'm probably going to go up to a guy like Jose Altuve or Brandon Lau. Third base, Austin Riley is right now on DK's carrying the ownership 18%. FanDuel, it's all over the place. It's Riley, it's got Esco, Mike Moustakas. I'm just worried about the weather once again. In Baltimore, am I going to play Riley? I mean, Riley's in a smash spot. He's been smoking all season right now. He's hitting righties. I mean, lefties. I think he actually hits righties better on reverse. But you can't deny a guy like Austin Riley hit 460 in the last week, 370 in the last month. Last month he's hit 370, 12 homers, 29 ribbies. So Riley's always a great play. Nolan Arenado, it's a reverse split. I mean, gets 3 splits today. Advantage over Brault. He's on fire. If you're scared of playing Riley because of the weather, Patrick Wisdom got home runs in back-to-back games, I think now. He's more of a mid-price guy. Aledmys Diaz. If long as he plays, he's always your value at third. I don't like paying $5,600 for Escobar, but I guess he definitely in play. I guess you got Hunter Dozier at 23. His price never changes. So third baseman going to have to be a pay up today. To me, it looks like it's either going to be Riley if you don't mind the weather. If not, then you're going to bump up to Nolan Arenado, who's crushing, or drop all the way down to a guy like Diaz. If Diaz is actually going to start lineup today. Third base is kind of a weird spot here. I would probably wait and probably pick my third baseman last today. Shortstop, this is where we see Semien net ownership again with Semien. He's eligible on both spots. Also, Bo Bichette, about the same amount of ownership, 26, 27% on both sites. So it looks like you're probably going to want to play Semien somewhere today. If you can play Semien at second and Bo Bichette shortstop, great. If not, though, I like Semien better than Bichette. Even though Bichette's a little bit cheaper. But Marcus Semien's got home runs in 4 of his last 5 games. Elite matchup is Drew Hutchinson. Bichette struggling a little bit right now, but he's always, he can always bounce out of it real quick. Willie Adames, always also in play at 5,500. Against the lefty, he's got that splits advantage, 236 ISO. Who else we got? Bogart, but it's a weather game. Bogart's the game's canceled, right? Dansby, weather game. Jazz is starting to come out of his little funk. What's Jazz's price? He's $4,800. So to me, probably a GPP players. I'm probably going to want Semien or. Oh, then they got Nikki Lopez. Nikki Lopez actually has been solid for me. He's my value play today. He's hit 350 over the last week in that 2-hole with him and Witt. They're stealing bases together. They're generating runs. It's not going to last forever. But I don't mind Nikki Lopez at all as a value punt play at shortstop. But the play is going to be one of Toronto guys, Semien / Bichette, as short. Third, outfield. I'm just trying to see if there's any new news coming out. Minute Maid Park is going to close their roof today. I did see a roof open. Rogers Center roof is open. So that actually helps. So that's going to help the hitting Semien and Bichette. Probably hurt Matz a little bit, though. Let's go to outfield. Looking at our fielder's choice cheat sheet right now. T.O. is running away with ownership. He's the only guy above 20% ownership right now. Remember, some of these ownership numbers may change because we still have 2 hours. But T.O., who's back cleanup today, is your top owned on DK and FanDuel. And, of course, I don't mind it at all. T.O. is rocking. He's against a righty. I mean, I'd rather see him against a lefty. Against a righty this year, he's got 169 ISO, which is not great, but 296 batting average. But T.O.'s going to be popular because he's back cleanup in Rogers Stadium now with the roof open. Other plays, we have Abisail. Abisail's on my top place today. Abisail Garcia. Going up against the lefty. He is crushing lefties this year. A lot of people don't realize how well he's hitting lefties. 274 ISO, 453 Wnba, 333 batting average for Abisail. So one of my top plays. Plus, over the last 17 games, he had a 1.275 OPS. These are elite numbers. Beside Abisail, Eloy going up against Archer is in play. Tyler O'Neill finally came. I played Tyler O'Neill a lot. He did come through for me last night. He had a few knocks. He had a stolen base. 316 ISO, 409 Wnba in a good spot. Nicky Castellanos still under 4K against the righty. He's been crushing righties this year. And in reverse, 266 ISO, 413 Wnba, and a 324 batting average. Castellanos probably could be one of the top players in the outfield for me with Abisail. Who else we got? Corey Dixon I like a lot today. Dickerson's getting some playing time now with Springer on the DL, and he's getting that spot in the fifth spot. I always play Dickerson against righties. Hutchinson's a gas can. So great spot for Corey at 3-1. It's more of a punt play. To me, it's almost a free square. You almost got to pick Corey Dickerson in your cash lineup. He's looking like 12% ownership, but that may pop up the next time we do ownership for the next hour or so. Luis Robert, still cheap, too cheap at 3.8. He's in play. Anybody else I'm missing? Christian Yelich is on fire again, but I'm not. Well, he's not a 5.6 though. But it's against the lefty. I'd rather play Yelich against a righty, but he had a huge day yesterday. 2 home runs, 6 ribbies. So yesterday he was 6.3, had 2 home runs, 6 ribbies, 46 DK points, and they dropped him $600. I know it's against the lefty, but whatever. DK makes no sense sometimes. Austin Meadows batting 5th against. Always you play Meadows against righty. He gets a righty today, so he's in play. I probably wouldn't be messing with Boomstick today at 5,400. Nelly Cruz. Probably on my top plays. Is Tyler Naquin leading off? Oh, that's right. Because Johnny India is off today. So Tyler Naquin, it's against Alcantara, but Naquin at 2.9 leading off. I guess it's a good spot for the Reds. There's part 2.9. He'll end up being one of my punts today. All right, Naquin at my spot. All right. We got stacks. My top stack today is you talking about. I'm looking at that question. You talking about Archer? Coming back from 8-1. Is that Art? Wait, is Archer's 8-1? No, he's 7-9. But let's assume the question is about Archer. That's why I said I can't play a guy like Archer. He's not even going to be stretched out. But people are talking about him. Stacks today. So my top stacks are Milwaukee. I like Milwaukee today. I like the Cardinals today. Of course, I like the Blue Jays today. But Milwaukee, I think, is going to be the popular stack. Probably, they probably are the best stack of the day. No, probably Toronto. It's gotta be Toronto now, and with the roof open. So Toronto, I would say, then Milwaukee, St. Louis, and Houston, and then Houston, and the Braves because of the weather. I'm not sure about. All right, that's it. Beside, I got a couple of price pick plays. I still got to go through price picks more. If I find anything else, I'll pop it into. I'll add to my article. But for price picks, code YFC. I like Semien over 1.5 total bases. So all I need is a hit, a walk, a double, a hit and a walk, or just a double, whatever, over 1.5, you got it. I do like Jazz over half a run today, batting second in Great American Small Park against Gutierrez. So Jazz is a lefty. You get a good spot here, actually. I think it's a good plan. Price picks. All he needs to do is score 1 run, which you should do that. Batting second in front of Jesus Aguilar, Jesus Sanchez. So I like Jazz over half a run. Okay, that's it. I think if I can toss it over to WNBA, looks like there's some WNBA people here waiting to hear Walter, our small sports niche, our sports niche Rain Man. He's been crushing Summer League. Now he's crushing WNBA. So I'm going to turn it over to Walter. It's all yours, brother.
Hello, the Rain Man. I like it. All right. Not quite as good at math as he was, but I'll definitely take that moniker. Hello, everybody. Thanks, Pete, for the MLB coverage. Good stuff as always. He has been kicking some royal ass at the MLB, which nobody does it better. I know there's a lot of MLB content creators out there, but he is absolutely at the top of the game. WNBA today, we have a 2-game slate. The contests are quite bad, and I realize that. So there's a lot of you that may not even want to play. But the best thing about this is that a lot of people may feel that way, right? So there might be a lot more casual players today, or there might be a little bit of overlay, although I doubt it because of how small the contests are. So it's going to be definitely worth playing. I mean, the grind really does not ever stop. So I'm definitely going to be playing, some of the higher dollar stuff, I think. Looking at it, it's a fine slate. There's 4 really good fantasy friendly teams that we're going to want to target. So let's just jump right in here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to pop those on the right side of the chat. I'll answer them as we go. First game on the slate, LA Sparks versus New York Liberty. Nice thing about these games too is they're not 8 hours apart like they were yesterday. Right now the Sparks are plus 135, Liberty minus 3.5. So spread, it's a 157 over-under. I do think the over-under is in play in terms of them going over. Defense for these two teams has been suspect all season, starting with the Sparks. Looking at it, team-wise, there is a lot to like here. Points, the Liberty are giving up almost 86 points per game, second highest in the league. So there's going to be points scored here in terms of everything. Liberty also have the most steals for their opponents. So they get the not the highest turnover rate, but they do give up the most steals in the league. So somebody like Brandy Sykes is going to be in play. And then looking at turnovers, the Sparks turn it over the most in the league at 18.4. So both sides today are going to have an opportunity to rack up peripherals for us in those categories of steals, maybe blocks, just overall forcing turnovers. I definitely like Brittany Sykes. She's probably, it's a weak guard pool this time. The playable guards are all priced out, like a Drew Lloyd we'll talk about in a second. So for me, I'm looking at Brittany Sykes, 7.7K. She's been playing in their 3 games back from the Olympic break. She's averaging well over 35 minutes per game, 33, 40, and a 29. 2 of those 3, she's taken 11 plus shots, so she's taking more on offense. She's clearly one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. I suspect she'll probably guard Benijah Laney early, maybe a little bit of Sammy Whitcomb, but she gives people fits, and she is somebody that you can rely on to get steals. She is averaging 22 fantasy points per game, which is just okay, but if you look at what she's done in these 3 games since the Olympic break ended, she's averaging just about almost 30. She has a 24 in there, a 29, a 33. So very good stuff. She'll contribute in assists. She'll contribute in rebounds. So 7-7 is a little underpriced for her when you look at the context of the slate. I haven't used Nneka Wnba very much this year. She's been hurt, so she hasn't been on the slate. But I definitely think this is a spot to really target her. We know that the Liberty are, their front court has been targetable all season long. They've been the number 1 DVP spot to target with aggressive, front court players, which Nneka definitely qualifies as. The Sparks the Liberty, I should say, are giving up over 38 rebounds per game to their opponents. Sparks, and a lot of this is without Nneka, so keep that in mind, are giving up 40 rebounds per game. So both teams' front courts have been very, very targetable. But I'm on the Nneka train. She's 9.6K. Getting a feel for ownership this morning, she's kind of like in the middle, somewhere between 35 and 40%. So she, it's a 2-game slate. What are you going to do? But I'm definitely going to make room for her and figure out, what I can build around her. Her sister, Shanae, is going to be returning. She's probable today at 6'8". She's a fine play. She's really kind of that 5th or 6th option, it seems now. So she's probably not going to score more than 20, but she's only 6'8" on a 2-game slate. If you need, that room, you could definitely use her. I don't think she'll automatically bump Amanda Wnba to the bench or take her minutes. It's certainly going to hurt Nia Coffey. Really going to hurt our girl Lauren Cox. Lauren Cox's minutes are probably going to go back to non-existent, unfortunately, until we figure out this rotation with Coffey's probably dropping below 20. So Neck is going to play a lot. I would suspect Zowie B plays a lot. I kind of like Zowie B for GPP purposes. She's only 8'4". She does have a wide range of outcomes, but she has that revenge game against her former team in the Liberty. Revenge games in the WNBA. One of these days I need to go through and see how much it works, because it seems like it's a very high rate. Players against their former team seem to show out in this league more than any other. Fouls are definitely a concern with her. She has a very high foul rate, so that is why she's kind of more of a GPP play than anything. And you can see even without Shanae, she's been playing mid-20s minutes. A lot of that has to do with fouls. Now you bring Shanae in there to play at least 15 minutes. Some of those will probably come out as Zowie B's total. So I would like to see her be in that mid-7K range before I seriously consider her for my main lineup again. But I think she could have a big game even in like 25 minutes. She can hit threes, which makes it hard to guard her down low as well. She can block shots. She's a solid rebounder all around. Like I said, Lauren Cox kind of out of play. She's 4'7", so if you really need a super punt, you can go that way. There is another value play in this game from the New York side we'll talk about. I'm never using Christy Tolliver at 7K. My buddy Seth on Twitter, me and him talk about WNBA a lot. He's a Tolliver fan. So, he'll probably be using her somewhere, but I just can't get behind using her at 7K. I think she's kind of cooked at this point. I know she was hired by an NBA staff recently, so probably a good chance this is her last year anyways, but I'm not using her at that price. And then Erica Wheeler, she's GPP extraordinaire at 8'9". She's not typically going to pay off 8'9" very much, but you guys know the volatility of WNBA players a lot with high variance. The build we've been going with a lot, especially me, I'm a really big builder of mid-range, especially in college basketball. But in WNBA, I do make a point to stuff as many high-end, high-floor plays as I can. The Stewies, Briners, players like that rarely bust. Because that mid-range, you never know if you're going to get a 35 out of them or 12. So Wheeler falls in that range. She's a GPP play for sure. Ownership will likely be low, so you can use her in your alt lineups. New York side, Laney's too priced out for me, 9.8. I've been a big Laney fan this year. I've used her a lot. Made a lot of money off her on Prize Picks. Like I said, I expect Sykes to be guarding her, at least initially, which just kind of, brings her way down in my eyes. I think he's also somebody who could put up 50, and I wouldn't be shocked. She could also put up 18, and I wouldn't be shocked. So she's the most expensive out of that trio, Ionescu, Whitcomb, and Laney. So I'm going to be leaving her on the bench this time. I do think Sabrina Ionescu is always in play at 9.4. The Liberty are getting a little crowded up top with their high usage players. So I'm a little concerned there in terms of her paying off the 9.4. She's going to be a little lower owned than she should be because I expect people to chase Sammy Whitcomb. Whitcomb's coming off an almost 50 burger, but she's 9K, and paying 9K for Sammy Whitcomb just seems very reckless to me, at least. So I'm gonna, if she's going to draw any kind of ownership, I think I would just rather leave her on the bench. She is a very high level 3-point shooter. She can steal. She contributes and rebounds, so she does do a good job. But if she, gets iced out earlier, if she isn't hitting the shot, she just won't do enough to pay off a 9K price. Whitcomb's more like money area price of range is 7.5 to 8K. So that's a little bit more than I'm willing to pay. Usage wise, there's a lot of high usage players on this team. Laney's actually the 6th highest usage in the league, 27%. So keep that in mind there. I am going to be using, this is the value play that I was just talking about, Dede Richards, the rookie. At 4.5. Right now, the Liberty will be without 3 people, injuries-wise. Shonda Gray is out, personal reasons. Jocelyn Willoughby is out. She's been out for a long time with the injury. And then Jasmine Jones has an injury that's going to continue to keep her out for at least today. In her place, Dede Richards has been playing big minutes off the bench, and big minutes for her. Since returning from the Olympic break, she's had games of 18 minutes, 22, and 24. And you see that has been a steady climb up to, so there's a good chance she plays 25, 26 minutes. Probably going to be on the chalkier side just because it's a 2-gamer and it lacks, overall good value you can feel good about. But she's not going to knock her socks off. 15.5 fantasy points against the Storm. The game before that, 13.5. The game before that, 9. But all you really need in WNBA, especially for cash games, to really, do well is about 3.5x. That's the spot, like minimum. Anything over is, gives you a really good chance to cash and possibly bank. So 4.5, she's obviously a better play than Lauren Cox because the minutes are going to be there. They're directly tied to Jasmine Jones. They're very high on Dede Richards for the future of this team. She's a very good on-the-ball defender already. She doesn't really look for her shot, which is the main issue, I'd say. But she's very active in all of their categories. So that's your number one value / core play right there. The rest of the team, Kylie Shook, Wnba, Leona Odom, all kind of lower end plays. Wnba's minutes are going way down. She's going the opposite direction of Dede Richards, to the point where I think our girl Ari McDonald from the Dream is going to be taking over the Rookie of the Year soon. And then Natasha Howard at 8'7". I'm probably using her on the flip side. Since she's returned, she's looked really good. She scored 37 plus fantasy points in 2 of the first 3 games back from her long-term injury. The Sparks, their defense has improved with Nneka, obviously, but I think that she could do some serious damage there. The fact that she put up 37 against a really tough defensive Minnesota team makes me, less worried about going up against Nneka. As long as she doesn't get into foul trouble, which, knock on wood, let me find some real quick. There we go. She doesn't get into foul trouble, which she hasn't yet. So I definitely like her at 8'7". I think I'm going to be having a lot of heavy exposure to this first game, even though it's a lower total. It's what I did yesterday in that Phoenix versus Atlanta game, although I played Courtney Williams over Diana Taurasi or SDS, which was the wrong move. But I just feel like I have a better shot at cashing if I mini stack this game than the other one, just because the Storm, they're fully healthy, just about, and their depth is deep. And Washington Mystics, who have EDD back, which we'll talk about in a second, are now suddenly gone from having 7 healthy players to 12, 13. So that rotation-wise in that game is a little scary for me. And I think a lot of people are going to be drawn and attracted to that next game because optimizers and stuff are pushing ownership in that direction. So for me, I like Howard, Dede Richards is in the core play, Nneka, Zowie B, and Sykes. Not necessarily having all of them in my main lineup, but that's the group I'm working with. All right. Yeah. Yep, she is a steals master. All right, so Storm versus Mystic. The Storm, this line may be broken a little bit. Vada has Storm minus 9.5. I don't know that they're going to be winning by that much on the Mystic floor, especially with EDD back. The over/under is 165.5. So if you like betting, I think taking the Washington Mystics point line there with EDD back is a solid bet. Now, EDD, let's start with the Mystics. Elena Deladon, former MVP, won the title in 2019 with the Mystics with 3 herniated discs. Has been out. She, for health concerns, she sat out the bubble season last year, and she just, back surgery has kept her out until now. Finally able to go. Yesterday, she practiced with the starters. It is said, and I found it in an article this morning from the Washington Post, that she will start, assuming that during warm-ups there's no setbacks, and there's a little bit of risk involved here, clearly, with a player who hasn't played in 2 years. And then her first game back is against the world champion Seattle Storm. So price-wise, she's only 8-1 on DraftKings. This is a player who has been 10K plus most of her career on DraftKings. Has been a 50 fantasy point scorer a lot. She's just done a ton of damage. Great player. But there's going to be rust. Like I said, she's facing off against a Storm defense that is more than adequate. And we're looking at a Mystics team that is, like I said, suddenly deep. We've been stacking the Mystics earlier in the season when they had 7 players, but now you've got Tina Charles fully healthy, MHA fully healthy. Now EDD is going to be out there. Erica McCall is back off the bench. Shavante Zealous is no longer injured, apparently. They signed Shatori Walker-Kimbrough. They just have a deep rotation. So how are they going to have this pecking order shake out? To me, it looks like Tina Charles would be a fade. Only because she's 11K. She's drawing a ton of ownership on projections. Like right now, I'm seeing her top 3 in ownership. You want to get different somewhere, that's where you do it. And maybe that's wrong of me to jump off of Charles. I haven't really been rostering her anyways. Like the last slate I was on, Griner and some of these other players, and Charles kind of, whiffed. So it's like, I did good with that. But there's been times where I faded her and she dropped 60 as well. But with EDD back, I just don't see Charles, heavy usage staying unless Deladon is, going to be on a minutes cap or something. Usage-wise, Tina Charles has obviously the highest usage rate in the country, talking like college basketball, in the league, 32.5%. Right behind her is Natasha Howard at 32.2%. And then top 10, you have Brianna Stewart, rounding it out there, and Jewel Lloyd. So Charles' usage rate has had to be high because of all the injuries the Mystics have endured throughout the season. I think that'll level off a lot more now with EDD. Looking at it, She's drawing less than 25% of ownership, which really intrigues me on her even more. If this were like a full 30-minute EDD game, which is probably unlikely, she would be just a giant lock at the 8-1 price, because really she's going to be a 10K player at full strength. With my type of build, the last spot is ending up right around that 8-2, 8-3 range. So for me, it's Sue Bird, who, the Ageless Wonder is okay. It's guaranteed 20 fantasy points, or it's take the relative unknown with the minutes usage, rust with EDD, and possibly get a low owned 50 spot. That's not going to happen, but if she could get me 30, I would be super stoked. So I'm looking at her pretty hard. I'm going to be watching during the warm-ups, monitoring that. If she has any sort of setback, I will obviously be in the premium Discord posting that information, or on Twitter posting that as well. So you guys, if you're playing today, you definitely want to monitor that, because if something happens and she ends up sitting, then that changes everything for me, and MHA and Tina Charles end up becoming in play. MHA is somebody, Maisha Heinz Allen, I thought might be traded by yesterday's trade deadline. It was very quiet, no moves made. They're really crowded at her position. She was a breakout star in the bubble last year. You see she's averaging 13-7 right now. She's had injuries on and off, but really solid player. With the defensive attention going to Charles and now EDD back, we could see MHA, at the 3 spot, draw the worst part of the Storm defense and actually end up being a really strong play. I wish she was cheaper than the 9-1, but it wouldn't surprise me to see her hit a 35 or 40. But I'm just really leery about how the pecking order usage ball is going to shake out here with all these mouths that need to be fed. You have Ariel Adkins too, the young guard there at 9-2, who needs shots and usage and all that. I definitely won't be using her. Natasha Cloud is there at 7-9. I think she's fine. I think Sykes is a way better play with less mouths to feed. You've got Walker Kimbrough at 4-8, Weiss at 4-6, McCall at 4-3, Zealous at 4-2. So you've got a bunch of bench pieces for the Mystics. Again, I think Dede Richards is better value than all of them. But if others think like I do and are mostly fading the Mystics, and there's no double ups today in the hobby, which is stupid, so you're only playing head-to-head or GPPs, and you've got that GPP build, cycling in some of those Mystic secondary pieces could end up being a winning play, especially at lower ownership. For the Storm, they're back to full strength, other than rookie Kiana Williams is out with an injury. Not much of an impact there. She doesn't play a lot. Brianna Stewart's back, 11-2. Clearly the top player on the slate. Expect heavy ownership. The last 2 game slate that she was on, she was 70%, which I've faded Stewie a fair amount this year when they're with bigger slates. It made sense, or I had other options to go to. On a 2-gamer, there's really not a lot of other options to go through. So it puzzles me that 30% of the field was just like, nah, I'll fade the 40-plus fantasy points guarantee here. That's good for us. That pays the rate. So hopefully that happens again. Lock in Stewie, don't get cute. Jewel Lloyd's price is up to 10-6. I jumped off after having her for those 2 games where she dropped, 44 and 50. She continued. She's shooting lights out right now, a high number of threes. She hit 7 of her 9 attempted against New York there. Just a completely different player since the Olympic break. I mean, they call her the Golden Mamba. She's been a stud for a while, but those first 2 games without Bird and Stewie were good for her because she's got her confidence back. The Olympics, she barely played. You can see she lacked confidence a little bit, but she's definitely feeling like a takeover player. This is your GPP Bink play. Probably very few people are going to play her. You're not going to be able to afford her next to Stewie and Charles if you go that way, or if you're with me and you go to NECA. So expect lower ownership on her. And I'm not sure that she's going to stop putting up big numbers. I think 50 might be a bit of a reach today, but she could still put up 40. It's just the opportunity cost is extremely high for her at 10-6, but definitely don't sleep on her. As I mentioned, her usage rate right now is actually higher than Brianna Stewart's. She's 8th in the W right now with a 26.7% usage rate. Sue Bird, she's in play at the 8-2. Like I said, it's her or EDD for me in that last utility spot. She's good for that 20 fantasy points. She's 40 now, so she's taken double-digit shots in 3 straight games, which is encouraging. She has a high assist rate. We know that. She just hasn't been shooting the ball very well, under 40% lately, which is not good. But there is something to be said about these slates with safety. So if you're looking for somebody who likely won't bust, Sue Bird is definitely, in play there. Mercedes Russell had a rough game. She's still probably a little priced out for me on a 2-gamer. She only had 11 fantasy points. played just the 23 minutes. No foul trouble. She just wasn't effective. So if everybody's jumping to Ezzy, who's our girl, Ezzy Maglagor, then Russell makes sense as GPP. I do feel like Ezzy Maglagor is a little too cheap. We've been on her a long time. The Olympics, she made us money. Back to the first part of the season, she made us money. We know she's a star and an heir apparent, and she's going to ultimately end up being the third option behind Jewel Lloyd and Brianna Stewart on this team, assuming they re-sign everybody. So at 6'4", I think she's a great play overall. Mystic's front court is way tough now with EDD though. This isn't the spot to play her in your cash game. There is no cash game, your main lineup or anything like that. But she could definitely pop off and put a 30-40 game, at lower ownership, assuming the minutes go up. It's frustrating because Noelle Quinn, their new coach of the Storm, I thought she understood she needed to play her big minutes coming out of the break against Chicago. She played 31. Obviously, Stewie didn't play, but then she dropped her to 17 in a game without Stewie and then 15 last game. She averages well over a fantasy point per minute. There's really no reason not to play her 25 plus minutes a game. You saw it in the Chicago game. She played next to Mercedes Russell for almost 20 minutes during that game, and they didn't sacrifice anything. In fact, their rim protection improved, their rebounding improved. Yeah, it was a little slower on the fast break or whatever, but I just think there's way too much to like with those two playing together. With Stewie back, it makes it tougher to play them together, but you have to find a way to play Maglagor more than 15 minutes a game. That's just not going to work. So I do like her, but GPP only, which is all we have. I consider the single entry GPPs like the 33 and stuff more of cash game builds because you're going to see less variance. So bear with me as I talk like this because this is kind of force of habit to talk about cash and GPP. Jordan Canada is not on our list anymore. She's, bounced back to the bench, going to play a few minutes. Same thing with Epiphany Prince and Talbot. With Williams, she was playing 5-6 minutes a game, so maybe that goes to Prince now. I still think Katie Lou Samuelson is okay, but 6'9" is not a real great price for her. When she drops in that upper 5, low 6 range is really when she becomes in play for me. And that's just because there's not a lot of shots for her to go around, and Stewie's back on the court, and especially with the way Jewel Lloyd's playing right now. So a lot of Samuelson's value comes from other categories, but she doesn't have a high enough rebound and assist rate to support an almost 7K price tag. So I'm not going to be using her today either. It's really Stewart, who's an obvious core play, Dede Richards, and then for me, I'm leaning towards Naneka. You guys can follow me on that if you want, or if you feel like, no, Tina Charles is still the play, then go that direction as well. It's just I like the discount from Tina to Naneka, and I don't think Tina's going to outscore her very often in this spot, unless EDD, tweaks her back in the first minute, and then Tina gets to take over, which is a very real possibility. That wraps up the slate. Love the Sykes. Heck yeah, I love Sykes too. I think she's a good play. I think she'll be lower owned. I really feel like, let's see. Let's see what we're looking at for Sykes. Right now, like 30%. It's not bad for a two-gamer. Right now, we're looking at Brianna Stewart, Tina Charles, Rebecca Allen, Natasha Howard, and Naneka, and Stephanie Talbot, peculiar enough, as the top 5 or 6 ownership projections. Talbot's pretty bad play, so if people are going to roster her, that's fine with me. That's probably more out of necessity because of her price. And then Rebecca Allen at 7.3. That's a total chase. Rebecca Allen had a horrible Olympics. Really bad. One of the worst I've seen for a player of her caliber. She's been shooting lights out. She shot 5 or 6 from downtown and 2 games ago in Seattle. Then she shot 3 of 5. So you see she had a 36 there, and people chased that, and she had a 21. She's typically going to hover around 15 to 20 fantasy points. So, if you want to pay 7.3 for that, by all means. But if she ends up being like 40% owned on this slate or something, then that's a gift for us. If she ends up dropping a 40 today, that's how this happens sometimes. But she's still a very bad play on paper. I don't know why you'd pay 7.3 for her when 400 more you have Sykes, who's going to hit 20 plus at a far higher clip than strictly a shooter like Rebecca Allen. And New York's full of players just like that. And if she doesn't shoot well, then Walt Hopkins will definitely bench her. He's done it before. All right, let's pull up prize picks here, see if they're still the same. I have a few that I really like. Let me see if they changed any. Natasha Howard over 27 fantasy points. That feels pretty low for her. I think, with prize picks, they give you 3 points instead of the 2 for blocks and steals like DraftKings does. So I think that puts that 27 over much higher in play for her because of it. I also like Let's see. Is it not there anymore? There was Brandy Sykes over 25 fantasy points, but there it is. Yeah, so over 25 fantasy points. Same reason for her. Steals, blocks, 3 points. She can wrap that up in a hurry. I like her for 28 to 30 at worst today. And then the NECA, she's got two that I like. Over 29.5 fantasy points, or you can go to her rebounds, which they've only made it 7.5. She's typically going to get 9 to 11 rebounds on a pretty consistent basis. So I like the over 7.5 for her too. And then if you think like I do that Sykes will be on Laney, there's, I think the under hits that 28.5 fantasy points. I think I would rather, if you do want to hit the under, I think I would go under 16.5 real points because, she could still get the assists and some other categories to maybe inch towards 30. But I don't see her scoring the 16.5, and hitting 17 to beat that. She made us a lot of money early in the season when she kept scoring 20 and Price Picks never moved her off of 15. But I just, like I said, I feel like Sykes and the guard defense is going to really make it tough for her to score 17. So I'll take the under on that as well. And then Sue Bird over 10.5 single points. That's more of a, if you want to beef up a flex play. But I'd say my top three, Natasha Howard over 27, Nneka Ogwumike over 29.5, and Brandy Sykes over 25. Now, they're all three from the same game, which they technically, I believe, don't let you do. So if you want to make that a mixed sports play, or if you want a Pete's, so that it's a legal play, or you could throw Sue Bird in there over 10.5 to make it a legal bet. Otherwise, mix and match, do what you got to do. We got a very high level amount of Prize Picks guys that write for us that are winning soccer, MLB, all that stuff. So mix and match, check the Prize Picks room for that. All right. Talbot's price and Allen price on FanDuel. Yeah, I was looking at DK though. Their prices on DK are high, but yeah, on FanDuel, 5.5 and 3.5. Yeah, you got to build a little differently on FanDuel. So I certainly would be playing Rebecca Allen if she was 5.5 on DraftKings, I would be changing my tune definitely. And then any free throws or 3 points. I saw they added those categories, which excited me, but there wasn't any that I thought were soft. Sabrina Ionescu too, kind of, but there's, she takes enough to hit it. But I just didn't see it. They all look pretty on point to me. And then the free throws, that is, with the way the officiating has been in the WNBA the last couple of days, absolutely atrocious. Yeah, these all could potentially hit. If I had to pick one and hang my hat on a free throw, the over under, I think I would go with Natasha Howard over 2.5, just because she's going to be doing a lot of damage down low, rebounds and stuff. So I can see her getting to the line, 3 or 4 times today. All right, so that wraps up the WNBA show. Real quick, we're going to be doing tomorrow, Pete and I, another college football preview. That will be at the Pac-12. Then we'll be back on Wednesday for CFL show. We had some success. The CFL showdown, we cashed the Montreal one, and then Pete and some of our subs did some damage on the main slate. So we're chugging along there. That'll be the week 4 show on Wednesday. Then you can expect on Thursday us to do our first of the season, week 0 college football live stream. We last year we did a podcast that we recorded, but we're rolling along. We're doing the YouTube thing right now, so you can expect a show from us on Thursday, breaking down that week 0 3-game slate. And then Saturday morning, as we do, that'll be next Saturday morning before college football off. Any last-minute injury news, late-breaking news, depth chart stuff, last-minute questions you have, core builds. We're going to be talking it all whenever we break out, any late news. We always apply it to you in DFS terms and say, hey, here's how it's going to affect this team, this player. Here's what you want to do. We'll walk you through that stuff. Obviously, we won't give you an exact lineup or anything, but we're going to put you in position to be very successful at college football this year. Very proud of the college football product that we are bringing you. So definitely take advantage. If you don't know already, the first 2 months of your sub is $50, which is normally the 1 month price. So $25 a month for the first 2 months. That gets you access to every sport we cover. So not only college football, CFL, MLB, NFL preseason's going on, where the guys are crushing that right now. Esports, golf. We're still doing the KBO grind. There's Aussie football stuff going on. We have Prize Pick centric articles. We have premium members only Discord shows that we occasionally do. pretty much everything you need. And that content includes cheat sheets, which are they're fire. The MLB cheat sheets lately have been just disgustingly good, combined with Pete's info. Top play articles, as I mentioned, prize picks articles, poor plays, everything you would possibly need to be a successful player. Very proud of our product. If you're watching this video right now on demand or live, also, if you could hit that like button for us, that helps us a ton within the YouTube algo. It helps us be seen by more eyeballs, which means that gives us more opportunity to provide you with even better content. So I think that will wrap it up. You still have about 2 hours till WNBA lock, so I'll be around the Discord or Twitter if you have any questions at DubDeuces85. Thank you to the man, G, our producer for the day. He's feeling a little under the weather, but nothing can stop him. He's skyrocketing us to the moon, so without him, we wouldn't be able to do this. Appreciate it, and thanks for the continued support. Let's go out there and win some money today, guys and girls. See ya.
Yeah, no pressure, yeah. All we do is dress and rest, yeah. Shit, we on fresh dressed, living large, German whips in my garage. Most my partners caught the charge for all this love like elder bars. Fresh dressed, living large, German whips in my garage. Most my partners caught the charge for all this love like elder. We keep it rockin'. These chicks be flocking my coupe. We keep it rockin'. Fresh eggs outside of my stoop. We keep it rockin'. They love to give us some play. We keep it rockin'. Homeboy, we got 'em.
Hit the club, roll with me, we gon' hit the club. I'm back now, my Mac down, on black like my background. From the back door to the VIP, no charge, I'm VIP. Jesse James don't need ID, reppin' FAM9D. Now go hop in the truck though, baby girl gon' move on your butt though. And you know I'm still rollin' with the thugs though, so holla if you need, cause I'm cut though. All about the paper, see you later, cause I don't wanna date her. Nah, that's not my flavor, and I'm high as a T.O. skyscraper. You know, hop in the Bentley or Rolls Royce, you know, hop in the whip with a couple bad chicks, you know, MLB lit all day, all night, you know, that's how we roll.
Fresh dressed, living large, German whips in my garage. Most my partners caught the charge for all this love like elder bars. Fresh dressed, living large, German whips in my garage. Most my partners caught the charge for all this love like elder bars.
German whips, fancy cars, they play the game but they know who the champions are. Every time we pull up it's like a damn bazaar. They scream our name, try to get us on the camera. Flashing lights, though I ain't the flashy type. I just push a big whips with the fastest pipes. Can't match his price, I don't nigga catch for life, but I still never pay the full package price and fuck the laws. They can suck these balls, I'll be riding the fly shit till I rust the walls, yeah. So pull up, nigga, what? Please stay, get pulled up in the trunk, and my bass go bum. The thing I pack at my waist make your face go slump. Put me on the track, watch the place go dumb. D-O-R-O-N-T on the place I'm from.
Fresh dressed, living large, German whips in my garage. Most my partners caught the charge for all this love like elder bars. Fresh dressed, living large, German whips in my garage. Most my partners caught the charge for all this love like elder bars. I got a sick, thick flow, silk shirts and no, I never rock flip-flops with an open toe. Not in a red Lambo, but the Benz is fine. A leather black cash land, really friends in wine. I stand about 5'9" with the balls of Brando. Cooler than all liquor in the palms of land. Don't never draw first blood, but I end like Rambo. With a thick lit smoke, I'm a mic commando. Make a grand go far in the town casino. With a thick red bone, sipping rounds of vino. What I see, no man with a social witness. Gotta do gassed up, now we on my shit list. I'ma get this cash in the ass regardless. Hella do Scarface, but they face be scarless. On my A1 team, had a dream they lawless. Now I checkmate kings if they pawn they goddess. Fresh dressed, living large, German whips in my garage. Most my partners caught the charge for all this love like elder bars. Fresh dressed, living large, German whips in my garage. Most my partners caught the charge for all this love like elder bars. We keep it rockin'. These chicks be flocking my coupe. We keep it rockin'. Fresh eggs outside of my stoop. We keep it rockin'. They love to give us some play. We keep it rockin'. Homeboy, we got 'em. See me in the red Porsche, back up. See me in the V-Dub, back up.